All right, so today we're going to talk about something that I've just made, and I'm actually on the cusp of trying it out for the first time. This is a vacuum former that I created. This is the box for it. This is the base. It is 24 inches. Well, it's 25 by 25, but it's intended to be used with a 24 by 24 inch piece of plastic. That's what it is. So let's take a look at what I've created here. Let's grab these things off of here first. Move these things out of the way. First off, these pieces here that I just selected, they're all, I can laser cut them on my Glowforge, which is why there are 9 of them, and I didn't just create one big sheet. There are 9. But the fact that there are 9 means that I could very easily recut these ones out with a laser with less holes in them so that it brings down the dimensions. Let me show you what I mean by that. Camera standard views top. I'm saying that I could only have holes that are like from right here to right here, and thus have a 16 by 16 inch workspace to be able to vacuum form. I could also go smaller or larger as necessary. Meaning if I wanted to, I could use this box to vacuum form 16 by 16 squares or 12 by 16 squares or whatever sizes I want to, simply by laser cutting out pieces to put in here into a specific shape. But at the moment, I've got a 24 by 24 inch setup right now. I've got inside this box, I've got these things here, which by the way are not done correctly. I can see right now that if I move this thing, it doesn't have a slice, but inside the actual vacuum former I have, these are cut with grooves so that they interlock with each other, and they sit in on you can see it sits in, there's a little bit of a drop right down here, an 1/8 of an inch drop, so that these vacuum former things can fit inside there, or the top can sit in there. It also has a bottom. This is not a very finished thing. It has a groove in the bottom and a cut a bottom. One way or the other, I have a nice, let me Control Z that back together, station to be able to work with. You might note that there's no holes in this. I also have holes in this. I put a hole right here. This was my original kind of planning out stage. Looks like I didn't actually finish it completely. But there is a hole right here, and there's also a hole right there for vacuums to be able to plug in. So I plug a vacuum in on this side, and I plug a vacuum in on this side so that the vacuum is sucking on both sides evenly to try to make sure everything is pulled down in an even manner. All right. Now, I've also created a second thing, which is this here. And this is a box that folds down. I can show you how this folds down. This thing right here is going to fold down like this, 90 degrees. Oh, I folded from the wrong spot. So this is going to end up like that if it's folded correctly. Yeah, that's going to end up like that. Oops, Control Z. And then this side folds down as well. And you'll see that if I folded that side down there, I would also, because this one is set up like this, I can fold this one down and I can fold that one down. So in the end, I'm able to create something that looks very much like, basically it's a way for me to be able to set this box, fold this box up so it doesn't take up as much space. As in I can fold these ones down here, fold that one down, that one's already folded down, so it creates a shorter box. It's my way of making it so that I don't have this big giant box sitting around. But once it's folded up, this is lined with aluminum foil on the inside edges, and there is also this is a place for me to place 2 heaters. So I have a 2 heaters in the bottom of here, and I have a port right here so I can plug them in. And this is basically intended so that I can take a frame, which looks like this. I created this frame. It's 26 by 26, and it is 1 inch, 2 inches. I'm looking at it, it's 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches. Delete that. I welded this together in steel. It's 1/8 of an inch thick. and I have 2 of them. What's that? 0.25, enter. So I basically can take these 2 welded steel frames and I can place inside them a piece of plastic like this. I pinch them together using alligator clips, and I take this thing right here, this whole thing, and I set it on top of this thing up here, and the heater inside then melts the plastic. So that is the plan. Now I'm going to switch from this to actually showing you the first time I ever used this thing, and I will show you that in a moment. Okay, so I've got my plastic heating up over here real quick. In fact, it's pretty much done, so I've got to kind of work with it. If you come over here, you'll see that something I didn't discuss is that there are, in fact, holes inside here as well. So this thing's going to go on here, and I'm going to be able to flip that thing on in a second. I'm going to grab my thing that I'm casting today, or creating mold of, which is a fun little Volkswagen Beetle I made with my laser cutter. I'm going to put that right here. You're going to stay back there so you're not in the video. And we are going to see how this works. Okay? All right, so it took a little while the first time around. I do have the following problem with this. I have two different heaters in here. And when I first turned them on, they popped the circuit breakers on these things up here. So I was today turning them on number 3 power, because if the heaters have a pull tab, I can set it to 4, which is the hottest. So I thought maybe I'll just set it to 3 and it'll be hot enough and it won't draw as much power and it won't pop the circuit breakers. And that worked, except that it wasn't hot enough to do this. So I've replugged it directly into one of the wall sockets so it doesn't have to worry about the power outlets. One way or the other, it has worked. All right, I'm going to have you, this young lady, sitting over here, stay out of the thing. But when I say so, I want you to flip. Actually, never mind. I'm going to turn them on now. All right, so the vacuum former is on. I'm going to unplug this. We're just going to see what happens. So we did not get enough suction the first time around, and I'm going to have to problem solve that. I think that part of it is the fact that I called them alligator clips in the last video. They're not alligator clips, they are binder clips. They're probably getting in the way and causing enough of a gap, combined with the notion that maybe this is just not melted enough. We're going to try it again. Round 2. After I shifted it slightly, I felt it suction down a little bit more. So somehow I need to make it so that I am able to set this down in a very specific spot where it sets down correctly. I was slightly cockeyed this way, which made it slightly off. I was able to shift it, which brought the thick object over with me, which allowed it to come down a little bit more. I clearly have a question as to whether or not I can melt this stuff further, because I have this pinching up here, this thing right here, which suggests that maybe I could have done a better job of melting it further. The nice thing is I really feel like I can just keep doing this until I'm happy with it and just keep seeing how well it goes. All right, we're gonna give this one more shot. Pretty low. I don't know whether or not I need to wait until it gets even lower, but this is where I'm gonna go with. Go back over there. It suggests that I popped a circuit breaker, which I'm sure I did. I think that might actually be the success that I'm looking for. We still have like crinkling right here, but I think that probably has to do with the material, and I don't know that I was going to be able to create this shape with this material any better than that. It looks like it's really suctioned down significantly. I would call that success. I think that I achieved most of my, I think that if I scooched that a little bit further, maybe a little bit better suction. But all in all, I think that the suction is pretty good on that. I'm going to call that success.